This webinar is being recorded and may be posted for playback. Staying on the line grants First Data all permissions necessary to record and post for playback. Please disconnect now if you do not consent. Welcome to Ignite Statement Analysis Training. My name is Paul Scheffler. I'm a Senior Training Specialist here at Ignite, and we are going to be going over analyzing merchant statements for you to use out in the field. And one of the things that I will be covering and speaking to is that statement analysis should be used as a consultative skill set and not for something to use for just cutting and reducing a merchant's price and rate. And we're going to be showing you how you can do that. For your download purposes, you have up here in the left-hand corner of the screen, if you go on the File to Transfer, or you hit Control-Shift-T, you will see some files available for you to download and keep. One of those is this statement analysis PowerPoint presentation in a PDF form, and the other is a form for you to be able to use out in the field to help you with statement analysis. So once again, in the upper left-hand corner, Control-Shift-T, or go down to Transfer under File, you can download the two downloadable documents available for you. When we talk about statement analysis, it's really a science. It's looking over statements from top to bottom and left to right. You want to go line by line, and you want to see the information on there one bit at a time. I always like to give the analogy that when you are reading statements, you need to read statements just like if you were looking at how you would eat a whale or an elephant. It's not all at one time, it's one bite at a time. And you want to do the same thing when you're analyzing statements, because a lot of statements can have a large number of lines and numbers, and it may not all make sense to you if you don't turn around and know every single line or aspect of it. But if you should turn around and go one line at a time, you may find that you understand what's on the first line, and the second line you don't understand what's on the third line, but you understand what's on fourth and fifth. And by understanding and reading statements in that way, you would be able to sometimes figure out what you didn't understand by going one line at a time. You can go back to what you didn't make sense at first. And also you could speak to that merchant on the information you do know and you do understand, and then look to find the additional information after that. The objectives we have here, I'm not going to sit here and just read them all to you, but I will just touch upon them. If you want to discover, the merchant's average ticket, you want to look at what rate they're paying, exactly what is it they are paying, and also identify, what type of pricing they have. Everyone on the call should have taken interchange and pricing. So now is where you apply that knowledge into seeing what that merchant is paying on the statement they hand you. And then be able to offer consultative advice on what may cause additional fees or charges, downgrades, and how to prevent them. You would take that knowledge and information and advise the merchant the proper way to do things so that you can be that consultant and hopefully use that to better their situation and gain a new client for yourself. When you're talking about looking at a statement, as you heard me mention, you want to look at from top to bottom, left to right. So when we're first looking at this statement, the first thing you want to look at is the current processor. You want to see that because if you see that flame of Ignite, that means hands off, fires burn. Don't continue with that merchant, because that's the one merchant that we do not solicit is if they are currently or already with an Ignite payment agent. So you want to see that. The second thing is that when reading statements, when I was out in the field, I would always like to turn around and look to see what the processor was they were currently using. Because as you read more and more statements, you will begin to see that processors have a pattern. And you will see that All right, this processor typically will price someone at Interchange Plus. This one will do a tiered program. And that would help you in reading statements because once you saw the processor that it was, you would then know or have an idea on what the pricing method might be. Then you would move from the left to the right, and as you see on number 2, you want to always check the processing month, the date, the routing number, the merchant number. You want to look at all that information on there because you'll find very often that you might catch mistakes. So for example, if you were looking at a retail merchant and that merchant was giving you a statement from December, that would not be a true indicator of that merchant's processing volume because typically volume for a retail merchant would be higher in December due to the holidays, just like January might be lower. So often I would ask that merchant to give me a variety of statements, several of them. I like to get consecutive ones, and I like to get at least 2 to 3 months of statements, as well as take into consideration, will this merchant have spikes and dips for seasonal sales? You want to also not look at statements that are extremely old. So if a merchant handed me the statement and I saw it's from 2008, it's very possible that their rates or their volume has drastically changed, being that we're in 2015. So I would look for them to give me a more up-to-date statement to read. I also want to go down to, again, left to right, and look at the name of the merchant. You may think that this is an oxymoron, but it is actually something important. You'll be surprised. Sometimes you will walk into a merchant, and they will hand you a statement of another business they own or used to own. And again, that would be not a true indicator of what that business that you're currently in is doing in volume. So you would want to make sure that the business you're in matches the statement you're looking at. And also on the top, you want to look at the pages, and you want to match up all the pages they give you on that statement. So if the statement states that it has 7 pages, you want to make sure you have 7 pages. And then what I also like to do is I like to match up the dates with the pages because you don't want to have page 1 from 11/30 and page 2 from February 28. So you want to make sure you match up the dates as well as the pages. Very common when you're getting statements back to you, merchants will often send you all of the odd pages because the even pages are on the back and they forget to send that over. This is a recap of what we just spoke of. When you look at the statement, 1, you want to look at the merchant's current processor. 2, the merchant's DBA, the statement date, and the number of pages. You want to also make sure that you look at this because the examples I'm giving you here, not all statements are the same, and they do sometimes change. So you want to make sure that you look for this on the statement and not expect it to all be in the same exact place. Basic analysis is what's important for reading and determining a good understanding of statements. And again, you're going to hear me repeat this often. It means going from top to bottom, left to right. When I'm looking at statements, there's always a transaction summary there, and you will want to look and see what cards entitlements they are accepting. So if I see Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and I don't see American Express, that merchant might not be taking American Express. It may be a question that you want to ask that merchant. Do you take American Express? If not, why? What are some of the reasons you don't? And if you do, why is it not on your statement? Do you get a separate statement? These are things to help you and add tools to your tool belt when you present to that merchant about having them come on board with you under your agency. Also, you want to look at items. How many transactions did they do? What was the amount of volume? And then here in our average statement, you will see fees here. You won't always see the fees on the transaction summary, but in this example, you do see them here. And very often when you see them here, you can use this to calculate some of the fees that they're charging. But the important things in the summary is I want to see their entitlements, I want to see the number of transactions, and I want to see the volume that they're doing. When we talk about calculating the average ticket, it's a simple formula. It's, most of analyzing statements is basic mathematical formulas that you use to get some information to help you analyze it. So in this case, you would take the volume for Visa, as you see we're using. You would divide that by the number of transactions they did, and that would give you an average ticket of $37.76. But as you can see here, the average ticket is very high for Discover cards, and the average ticket for American Express is $55 as opposed to $37. You will often find that American Express average tickets are higher than other cards. So sometimes you need to get a more accurate number for average ticket. You would take the total summary of a volume and divide that by the total number of transactions, and you would see that that average ticket for the merchant overall is $51.33. When we look here at a formula, as I said, sometimes on the summary you will see a transaction fees, and you would sometimes use this to calculate what those fees are. This, again, is basic math, and you would just turn around and you would take that $76.50 and you would divide that by the number of transactions, and you would see that they're paying 25 cents per transaction on this statement. But what you may want to know is what does that mean in percentage, and how does that calculate into the discount fee? And again, that is simple basic math. You would take that $76.50 and you divide that by the volume, and you can see that that comes to 0.66% is the impact that that 25 cents transaction costs. What you would see on this page is that not all statements look alike. Some may look similar, some may be completely different. And as you can see on this statement here, it shows you completely different. When you look over here, it's broken down differently where they show the total sales. You can see here it lists bank card total, Visa, offline debit. So you want to read to see those entitlements. As you can see, this breaks it down further. And you can also see here that it shows you POS watch as the transaction of 19 cents. Before we continue on to reading the statements first, I'm going to take everyone off of mute. I want to pause and see what questions any of you might have. Please speak up, take your phones off mute, and ask me any questions you have up to this point. Otto, William, any questions you have on anything we've covered?
I'm okay.
No. I'm good.
All right, very good. All right, let's continue on. When we're talking about analyzing the statement, again, you want to look for certain things, and I'm going to give you hints because we have 3 to 4 statements we will be going over. As much as I am talking, I love it even more when it's interactive and all of you participate and talk. So we will be bringing up some statements for you to analyze and look at on the screen and give me your feedback. So in the course of the next few slides we'll be going through, I will be giving you hints that you should take note of, watch the screen, and see some of the things that you want to look for. Number one is you want to make sure that you're looking at the card type, the entitlements. But number two is what you want to make sure you're looking for is what are some things that are giving you hints. When you learned and watched the presentation or in the classroom of pricing types, one of the things we covered was tiered pricing. And what will give you a very big hint that you are looking at tiered pricing is anytime you look on a statement and you see Visa, MasterCard, Discover. American Express is different. We'll cover that in the American Express pricing. But when you see Visa, MasterCard, and Discover, and you see things like qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified, that means that it is probably a tiered pricing. And that would be an indicator that you are looking at a tiered pricing method, whether it be two-tiered or three-tiered. And just as a little hint, sometimes you will see 4 tiers, 5 tiers. It's up to that process of how they have their statement set up and how many tiers they break things down into. But remember, qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified is an indicator of tiered pricing. Now, I will give you another hint here. Sometimes when it is 3-tiered, they don't call it qualified. They will call it sales discount, and it would say sales discount, mid-qualified, and non-qualified. And this right here will be the qualified rate. So you want to use this as a hint for you to learn and know that sometimes the qualified is referred to as sales discount. The next is when you see the fee, the amount, what's the volume, and then you will see the rate. When you see qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified, you will often see the rates listed out. So the 1.78% is the qualified rate, where the 2.56 is the mid, and the non-qualified is 3.56. You may not always see it listed that way. Sometimes when you look at it and you have a statement, it will have it in a decimal version. So instead of seeing 1.78%, you might see something like 0.0178 instead of 1.78%. It means the same thing, it's just done in a decimal form. You will often see the transaction right next to it, and that will tell you what the transaction amount, as you can see, this is qualified rate of 1.78 and 25 cents. And then it will show you the math and it calculated out. What I recommend is that you always do the math to make sure that it is accurate. You can trust, but I believe, to verify. So this is what I was referring to, and where you would do a review. I would often do this. I would take the $167.95 and divide that by the volume, and that would give me 0.0178 or 1.78%. You can also reverse it and do the 94.3532 times 1.78%, and that would give you the 167.95. Something very common used out there. It is not something I am a fan of because I believe that I am a better consultant when I break statements down and do line-by-line breakdown rather than clumping it all together. If you wanted to calculate an effective rate, you would turn around and just take the total amount of fees and divide it by the total volume, and you would come up with 2.14%. Now, you may say, well, that's easier. That gives me the effective rate. But if you did that, you are now competing on just the rate and not working with that merchant on how to be a consultant. So when I look at this, rather than looking at an effective rate, I want to look at and say, hey, why are they getting mid-qualified? Why are they getting non-qualified? What if I can make these lines less and move non-qualified into mid and mid into qualified? I could be having an impact line by line rather than just looking to lower the rate. I can improve the way they process, and I can preserve my profitability. This is what I was just addressing, was turning around and finding ways to be that consultant. Look at the mid-qualified. Look at the non-qualified. Find ways to change that. On here, we looked at a tier statement, and now we're going to look at what's called an interchange plus statement. And there are a couple of red flags that let you know it's interchange plus. So this is what we're going to be looking to find out, is the red flags when you're looking for interchange plus statements. I'm doing my best artwork for all of you today. And if you ask Lana, she would tell you that I am terrible at artwork. So what are the red flags for interchange plus? Well, for one thing, you will see the different cards broken down. If you go back to your training on interchange, you'll remember that you heard about things like Merit 1 and Merit 3 and CPS Retail. So those were some of the ones you would have heard about when you learned interchange and pricing. And when you see on a merchant statement and you see Merit 3, and it lists the rate, and the rate matches what you know in interchange. So we know that Merit 3, okay, is the qualified rate swiped for MasterCard, and we know that they charge 1.58 and 10. We know that Merit 1 is 1.95 and 10. I know if it was Visa, okay, and it was a Visa Rewards card, it would say 1.65 and 10. If it was Rewards 2, I know it would say 1.95 and 10. So I always encourage you to learn about a dozen, 10 or so interchange cards, or rates, I should say. So this way, when you're looking at a statement, if you start to see some cards and they match up, you look for those 10 or 12 cards you know, and the rate matches up, it's a good chance that you are looking at an interchange plus statement. Another red flag that you will see when you are looking at a interchange plus, I won't color this one in, but the other red flag you're looking at is when you see a separate area, and it will often say processing fees. Merchant services processing fees. It will have a completely different area for it, not always. And you also see something like MasterCard discount or Visa discount fee, and will have an exorbitantly ridiculous number like this where it shows 0.19. We all know that if MasterCard's qualified rate is 1.58, they obviously can't be paying just 0.19. So that should be an indicator to you, okay, this must be interchange plus, and the 0.19 is what they're paying on top of interchange. And as you can see here, it shows you they're paying 0.19 and 10 cents on top of interchange. Before we continue and go into settlement summary, I want to pause again and take everyone off of mute and see what questions you have at this point. Please speak up now and let me know if you have any questions on anything I have covered. Arda, William?
Okay, here. Thank you.
I guess that's no questions. William, you're okay? Arda, you're good?
Yes,
Yep,
thank you.
I'm good.
All right, excellent. You guys are making this an easy one for me. When you look at statements, some of the things you want to look at here is that you often see a section that says settlement summary. You want to look at the dates as well as the entitlements. Do they have a settlement for bank cards and a separate settlement for Amex? First question is, why? Why are they getting a separate settlement? Are they not getting American Express full service through their processor, and is that something you'll be able to offer? Will that be a selling point? Will that help you in our automatic rate for Amex that might be less money than what they're paying, plus a faster funding? Are they batching out every day? Are they getting next day funding? So these are some of the things that you all want to make sure you look at: the date settlement, the card type, and the card type count, plus the amount. You want to look at another section that you will often see that says total fee summary. This is huge. I always like to find areas that I can save a merchant money without taking it out of my pocket. I like the money in my pocket. It allows for vacations. It allows for presents and gifts and my family. So I want to see what's being charged that I don't charge, so this way I don't have to reduce or eliminate something I charge. So I might ask them, what's an administrative fee? What's a customer service fee? What's a merchant gold fee? What's the statement fee? Find out what these are, because if you can find savings in these extraneous monthly fees, again, you don't have to discuss rate with that merchant. You can save them money and peace of mind by showing them value. You see in the left column, usually it'll list those out, and then in the right column, it will show you the monthly billing fees. Most statements usually have a section where they have writing with messages and alerts. Don't disregard those. You'll be surprised what you might see in those alerts. It might talk about their rate being increased next month, or that it would just increase, or an extra charge being added there. These are things the merchant probably looked over that you shouldn't. And this might be your tool to help close that sale for signing that merchant up. So I want to pause here before we start to look at statements, and and grill you guys with the hardest possible questions I can come up with to see what questions you have.
I don't have any questions.
Same here.
All right. You do have a tool that you'll be able to download. This is also on My Agent Office on MAO. And it's a statement analysis walkthrough. I have it available for you to download. And basically, it just covers everything that we went over. I recommend, I used to do this, I would print it out when I was out in the field and I was looking at statements. It kind of was my check and balance against forgetting to look at something, analyze something, or check it. And you can see as you go through it, it has everything we covered and then some. So I do recommend you use this and walk through those statements for that. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to bring up a statement, and I'm going to turn to you guys to analyze it. All right. So tell me some things that you see on this statement that stand out to you, that you would notice and point out to me.
Their processor is Ignite Payments.
That's right. Very good. Excellent.
We see the statement period also.
Yep. Excellent. Very good. Good point. Obviously, the business is blacked out, but the statement period. And also, this is typically, just so you know, this front page, when you see this layout and design, it is typically a first data statement. It could say Ignite, it could say Wells Fargo, it could say Bank of America, it could say City Merchant Services, it could be an ISO. But anytime you see this layout, it is going to be a first data entity in one way or the other. But the only ones that are a red flag for you is if it says Ignite Payments. Some of the other things that you will notice on here when you look at the statement is you can see here it says total amount submitted, and then you want to look at where it says third-party transactions, chargebacks, and adjustments. fees charged. So I bring this up because this is kind of important. When you look at our statements and you see total amount submitted and fees charged, the fees that are showing here are deducted from this amount, but it is based on the previous month's volume. So our fees that we show in full are 30 days behind what is actually happening. So we show it coming out, but it is actually based on the previous month's volume. So if you were calculating it when I was out in the field selling and a merchant would call me up and said their statement was analyzed and that they were paying too much, I would always ask them, how many statements did that processor see of yours? And if they said 1, I would say, let me come by and go over this with you, because you cannot read our statements based on 1 month. You need at least 2, usually 3, because the statement period 3/1 to 3/15, the volume is actually based on 2/1 to 2/28. So that is something you want to be aware of. Also, if you see anything here under third-party transactions, that would indicate that that merchant is not getting full-service American Express, that they are going pass-through through American Express. The other thing I wanted to mention here is that you can see that the information, the notes in here. All right, so let's look at this page. And is there anything on here that you see that makes you have a question or stands out to you? I will help you guys out on this one, just so you know. If you look here under amount batch, where you see the batch number, you will see that the amount that they batch out is not what they are getting. You can see that the fees are coming out every day, and that means they're on daily discount as opposed to monthly. If they were on monthly discount, you would only see fees showing coming out somewhere around the 2nd of the month, once a month, and not on a daily basis. Okay. What type of pricing is this merchant getting? What pricing method is this merchant using?
Is it tiered?
It is tiered. That is correct. Very good. Why do you say that? What lets you know that?
I just see that there's non-qualified sales discounts.
That's right.
And
non-qualified.
qualified.
Yep. And what's the rate on the qualified? I gave this as a hint to you guys before. Remember, it's not always, the qualified rate won't always be called qualified rate. What might it be called?
Discount rate.
Sales discount, right. So as you can see here, they have in here non-qualified. They have in here mid-qualified, but they don't show anything qualified. They just call it MasterCard sales discount, Visa sales discount, and that's the qualified rate. And I said that sometimes they will list it as a rate or as in the decimal form. And as you can see here, it's listed as 0.0169, or what would be 1.69%. But very good pickup on the catching that qualified. Excellent. All right, let's take a look at this page. And what is it that you see here? What are they being charged in authorization fees? And what kind of business do you think this might be? And what other fees do you see? Take a minute to look this over. Okay, who wants to take a guess on what the transaction amount is, or the authorization fee?
25 cents.
Okay, in some ways you're correct. They're paying on the batch 25 cents and the batch closure, but as you can see here, MasterCard authorization fee is 20 cents, and then Visa 20 cents, Discover 20 cents, Amex 20 cents. And on my question on what type of business, you can see here, it's showing Amex Healthcare, Amex Healthcare non-swipe. So it's a good chance that it's some kind of business in the medical field. You can also see they're paying for Trans-Armor Solution. And again, this is showing you the healthcare. Let's go to the next statement. All right, what does this statement point out to us and show us? Couple of red flags here.
The statement date is last year.
That's right. Excellent. That is correct. Last year. Good catch. One more red flag.
The third-party transactions.
Excellent. Good catch. Third-party transactions. That is correct. And William, if you see third-party transactions, what might that tell you?
Totally forgot.
That's okay. That's why we're on this call. It's nothing wrong with forgetting. We're on this call because if we knew it all, we would all be home on the beach. Third-party transactions would be a good indicator that they're doing American Express pass-through and not full service, and that might be something that you'd be able to help them with and be a consultant on. So good catch on that. You caught them both. Excellent. All right, let's look at this page and tell me some things that stand out on this page, anything that you noticed that this page tells you about this merchant and their processing.
They do a daily batch settlement.
They do a daily batch settlement. That's right. You're on fire with this. They do seem to be batching out daily. What kind of are they on daily discount or monthly discount?
Looks like a monthly discount.
That is right. Good catch. You know, you guys were listening to me, or you guys knew this beforehand. But that is correct. As you can see here, on the 3rd of the month, they had the fees taken out. And you can see all the rest of the days they got funded 100%. Great catch. Here is the third-party transactions we were speaking of, transactions submitted to Amex. At that point, you want to ask them, can I see your American Express statement? You want to look that over because there's a very good chance they're paying an extra statement fee. They're paying a higher rate. Plus, they're paying, you know, an additional transaction fee. All of that comes into play, plus they're waiting 3 days for their money. So when you see this, this should be a red flag and should help you to close the sale. Now this one is going to get a little tricky. I want you to take a minute to look this over and tell me what type of pricing method that this merchant is under. Is it tiered again? Is it interchange plus, or are they paying rate plus EBB?
I would say they're EBB.
That is correct. You are on fire. If there was an award I could give you through the computer, I would. But you are 100% correct. Was that just a guess, or do you have something that led you to believe that? And it's okay if it was just a guess. Most of my tests throughout my school years were guesses.
Now, it was, one of the transactions was cleared as regulated. And
Okay.
then, what else was there? That was pretty much it.
That's fine, but you are right. When you see things and it says transaction cleared as, and there's no rate there, and it just has numbers, it usually means that the cards came in as that and cleared as that and not as that qualified rate under the EBB. You will also see when you look further on, somewhere in that statement, they're going to have a Visa sales discount, a MasterCard sales discount, and a Discover sales discount, and they will all be the same exact rate. So here you can see Master sales discount 1.59, or it says 0.0159, and the Visa and Discover all the same. So if you see a single rate like that, and then you see other things, it may say surcharges, it may say cleared as, that would be a indicator that this is rate plus transaction and they're paying the EBB surcharge on all the cards that did not clear as qualified and what they cleared as. Now, sometimes, just so you know, you might see something different where you would see two rates. You might see Visa sales discount and then Visa debit sales discount. So there might be, if you learn that, it's split pricing, so it might be 1.59 for credit, 1.39 for debit, and that would be where you would see that. Let's look at the bottom of this page. What are some things that stand out to you on the bottom of this page that you would add to your notes if you were analyzing this statement? Look at like the last 15 lines and tell me if there's anything that stands out.
They're paying some fees, customer service fee.
Yeah, that's right. Customer service fee, $10. Anything else right around there?
The compliance admin fee.
Yep, they're paying the compliance admin fee, but right underneath that customer service fee is a non-receipt of PCI validation of $25 a month. That's a good red flag for you to turn around and go, okay, this merchant's not PCI compliant. I can take that off of what they're paying, save them $25 a month. I didn't touch the rate, but I know I need to just make sure I help them get set up to being PCI compliant, and then they won't be paying that monthly charge, and I don't have to compromise my rate. You'll also notice that just above the compliance admin fee is a monthly wireless fee. What type of terminal might this merchant have?
A wireless.
Exactly. So now you can see, as we're analyzing these statements and you start going line by line and just reading through it, you begin to pick up on little things that might give you hints and information as to how they process and the way their fees are coming in. You can see the authorization, they're paying 25 cents for authorization. All right. Now, here is a good indicator on this next statement. Look at the volume of this statement $68,179. The fees that they are being charged is $193.22. Does that seem a little low to you guys?
Yeah, a little.
Why is that?
So they submitted almost $70,000, only got charged $200.
Yep. So why is that so low based on $70,000? What do we know about these statements? Is it based on the $68,000?
No, it's based on transactions.
It's based on the month prior. Very good answer, William, and thanks for participating. So that's why you have to understand our statements. This 193.22 got deducted from this volume, but it was based on the month's previous volume. So it was calculated on the month previous. So maybe the month previous was only $20,000. So that's why you want to know this and understand that, because it is not based on that month's volume.
Is it always based on the month prior?
Yes, except when it's a brand new merchant and they're just getting their first statement.
Okay.
Okay, so it is always based on a month prior. So technically, you would look at the month previous, you would look at that volume, and then you would divide 193.22 by that volume, and that would give you the effective rate for that month's volume. Just like if you wanted to know for this month, this one is March, you would take April's fees that show here and divide it by the 68,179, and then you would know the effective rate for March. Does everyone understand that? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, it gets tricky. So what kind of discounting is this merchant getting? Is it monthly or daily?
Daily?
Good answer. But why do you think daily and not monthly?
Because of the date submitted?
Yep. So just so you know, monthly, you would see the fees come out once a month, and you would see no fees come out the rest of the month. So this would be monthly discounting.
Okay.
If it was daily discounting, you would see every day would have fees coming out, and you would see on the left-hand side where it says submitted amount, that amount would not match the right-hand side where it says funded, which meant that we were taking out interchange and transaction on a daily basis and not funding the merchant the full batch. So this one would be monthly discount.
Can you please explain that one more time?
Okay, yes, no problem. So daily discount means that every day the processor or us, Ignite, takes the fees out daily. So if the merchant batches out $1,000 and there's $20 in fees, we would only fund the merchant $980. Monthly discount means we take out the fees once a month between the first and second or third of the month, the first week of the month, and that would mean that every day through the course of the month, whatever that merchant batched out, they would get funded that full amount until the beginning of the following month. That's called monthly discount. That means we take our discount, the fees out once a month.
Thank
Is
you.
that good?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so let's look at this and tell me what type of pricing method do you think this merchant, okay, is getting?
Change?
What was that?
Change?
Interchange plus, that is correct. Was that a guess, or was that, is there something that stood out to make you feel that?
Well, I'm looking at the basis points, so I assume that it might be interchange plus.
Excellent. Good catch. You're 100% right. The basis points right here, Discover Sales Discount, 0.008. We know they're not paying only 8 basis points. You're 100% right. MasterCard, that's the red flag I gave you. And then if you look on the bottom, just underneath that, you see in a separate section, all the cards are listed out here and all the interchange rates. So now you know here, when you come here, you can see here's domestic Merit 3 MasterCard, 158 and 10 cents. We know that to be the case. We know when we come here and you have, you know, the Visa cards in here. So here's Visa Signature Card Standard, 2.70. We know that's the case. So this is why knowing a few of those interchanges and seeing that is important, because they start to give you red flags and tell you what you're reading on the statement. So with that, we've analyzed 3 statements. I'd like to stop here and see what other questions you might have on reading on statement analysis.
Far so good.
You're good?
Yes.
All right. And William, how are you? You guys seem to be catching it pretty good. I told you guys we'd finish in an hour.
Yep, I'm good.
All right. Please feel free to reach out to your internal support. If you have questions and need help, they're there to help read and analyze statements with you. And we obviously have this on recording, and we do this class once a month on reading statements. If you have no additional questions, I thank you for your time and hope this was helpful for you and wish you success out there analyzing a statement. Remember to turn around and look at it from an objective point of view. Find ways you can be a consultant. Do it from top to bottom, left to right, and focus on the lines you do understand, and don't worry about what you don't understand. If you have no more questions, I give you guys back 30 minutes of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.